Monday night, we saw the transfer of 2 Tottenham players to Galatasaray. Davinson Sanchez went for 15 million euros. This is a permanent deal. Galatasaray themselves put an official statement out saying it's for 9.5 million euros, but from what we understand, that is 15 million euros. Then Tanguy Ndombele got his move to the Turkish club as well, but this one's on loan with an option to buy for 15 million euros, but remains to be seen if he will get a permanent move come the end of the season, because he's had a couple of loan moves in the past 2 seasons now. Lyon and Napoli, they both had options to sign him, didn't take them up, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with Ndombele. But it does give him a chance to play regular first-team football, which he wasn't going to get at Tottenham under Ange Postecoglou, and it also will allow him to play in the Champions League. And I think that's one of the things he wanted if he was going to move from Spurs. And Galatasaray have Manchester United in the group, so he'll be coming up against Sergio Reguilon, who's joined them on loan. Bayern Munich, so he'll be reunited with Harry Kane, and then they've also got Copenhagen in there as well. So in terms of Ndombele, for you, the right move for him?
Tanguy, I feel like we should be playing the time to say goodbye music. Yeah, I mean, we don't want to cross over too much with the last podcast we did. We kind of knew this was starting to get towards its completion, I think, in the last pod. I think it's kind of a sign of where he's at right now. But fair play, like you say, gets to play Champions League football, gets to play against some big teams in a good group. And in an ideal world, I think for all concerned now, he has a great season. And if he has a great season, to be fair to Galatasaray, I think that option of £12.8 million, 15 million euros, it will be a bit of a bargain if he has a good season. That's a big thing. He's got to be consistent. He's got to have a really good season. And I think making an impact in Europe is going to also be a shop window thing for him as well. It may be that he just spends the one season there. But I would imagine if Galatasaray feel that someone is going to come in and buy him from Spurs because he's had a good season, they exercise the option, they sign him. I presume, I'm trying to think with an option, presumably he would still have to agree to that, wouldn't he? Yeah, so I don't know. That's far too far in the future. It's Tanguy. Anything can happen in the next 12 months. So yeah, fair play to him. He's got to move away. He needs to now impress, and he needs to now change some, I think, perceptions about him, and that he's wasting his career a little bit. It's kind of how it's felt over recent years. And then yeah, if they sign him, then great. If not, we'll be talking about Tanguy again next summer. But it's more the Davinson one that I'm still surprised at.
Yeah, I think that's a big surprise, because I think everyone probably assumed once the Premier League transfer window closed for business last Friday at 11 p.m, that was it for Davinson. He'd be staying at the club at least until January, but obviously Ange Postecoglou sanctioned both of those transfers, and it does leave Spurs awfully short at centre-back, especially, if one of Christian Romero or Mickey van der Ven come back from this international break carrying a knock. So they are short there, but what it does show, it's a huge show of faith in young Ashley Phillips, who's joined from Blackburn Rovers this summer. And it does also, hand Eric Dyer a Tottenham reprieve, because he's not been in the matchday squad in the first 5 games. And you'd assume now that Davinson Sanchez has departed, that Eric Dyer will jump up the pecking order. But going on the team selection so far, I think Ben Davies and Ashley Phillips are still going to be ahead of him. And for Sanchez, it does give him the opportunity to go play week in, week out, which he's not had over the past couple of seasons. And he's at the age where he needs to be playing week in, week out. And Champions League football on offer for him there at Galatasaray as well. So hopefully the move for him is a big success. But it's just, in terms of Tottenham, they are really, really short at the back. Just fingers crossed there's no suspensions or injuries in that position between now and January.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, Postecoglou sanctioned both departures. I can only imagine that he's looking at it with January in mind.
Yeah.
I think that's it. That he's just thought, you know what? I mean, we've seen different fees for Sanchez. Galatasaray are putting out there that, what are they saying? It was
9.5 million euros.
9.5. Spurs coming out, or certainly coming out within Spurs, it's 15 million euros, which is 12.8, same as the Tanguy option. So someone there's not quite telling the entire truth. I think the best way you'll find out is in the financial statements at the end of the year. That'll give you a better idea of it. Obviously, Galatasaray want to look like they got a better deal, and so will Spurs. But let's say they do take up the Tanguy deal. That's 30 million euros you've kind of got going forward. Obviously, with Sanchez, it's more if it is 12.8 million pounds to go towards a January new recruit. Let's be honest, January they're signing a new centre back. They are. It's something that Postecoglou wanted this summer. Another one didn't happen. It'll happen in January. It kind of has to. Ashley Phillips, definitely Postecoglou's been impressed with him. What I would say is it's a lot of pressure to put on an 18-year-old. And it's difficult because I'd imagine the fans will want to see him play. We'll, as journalists, if there's an injury, we'll probably say that he needs to start as well or have a go. But the interesting thing, I did an article that went out Tuesday that people should have a little look at. It was some excerpts from Postecoglou's book that he wrote in 2016, I think it was published. And within that, there was a section where he spoke about young players that he gave debuts to. And he said, he gave players that 18, 17 years old. He didn't care. If they were ready, get them in there. Let's see how they go. And then we'll go from there. And I wonder whether he does do that with Phillips. I know he's only had 8 championship games, but sometimes it happens. Sometimes they step up. And there's also young Alfie Dorrington as well. Alfie Dorrington's coming up very quickly through the ranks. Very talented, highly regarded player in the academy. He's been training with the first team quite a bit and will continue to do this season. And then he's got other kind of versatile options. He's got Ben Davies, can go on the left. We were saying just before we came on air, Emerson Royale at a push as a right-sided centre-back, like you said, maybe better in a back three, same as Ben Davies, but who knows? And then you got Eric Dyer. I'm fascinated to see who's on the bench against Sheffield United because Lo Celso, I think, could potentially be back fit. It depends how quick his recovery is. So if Lo Celso's fit, then really that still remains just that one spot, doesn't it? And that currently would surely go to Phillips.